In this video, I'm going to use three main steps to create our one-shot. That's going to include a social encounter, a combat encounter, and a skills challenge. So while I'm making this video, I'm actually using it to prep for my Daggerheart one-shot I have coming up later this week. And I'm probably not going to release this till later so that my players aren't spoiled. But this video is system agnostic, so you can use it for any tabletop system you're using, whether it's D&D, Pathfinder, Daggerheart, etc. Feel free to let me know in the comments what's worked, what hasn't worked, what's something that you've taken away from this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, let's get started. All right, so we're going to begin with creating our session summary and starting off with our first act. This video is going to be broken up into three different acts, like I mentioned earlier, but it's going to be focused on each on a different challenge. So we'll start off with a skills challenge. And then we'll go into a social encounter, and then we'll go into a common encounter. So with this tool, I'm using Notion, but you can really use anything you want. If you want to use pen and paper, Word doc, or like Obsidian or something else, you can. But for kind of like for conciseness and clarity, we'll just start very simple. So we'll start with a session summary. Here, I'm going to create I'm going to make this in the mountains. It's going to be the players are going to have to travel on a mountain pass to a distant town. They're going to be tasked to deliver our MacGuffin. So that can be anything. It can be a package. It can be a weapon, an artifact, medicine, whatever you want to make it. We can do that later. So deliver a package to their contact. And the reason why the party has been hired to do this is because it's dangerous. It's in a remote region. Um, dangerous, um, and need skilled adventurers to ensure it gets there in one piece. It is very cold, snowy region. We can put some interesting challenges with this being a lot of snow and ice. That kind of helps us later on. But it's a snow-covered region, and with high elevation. Okay, so that's done. So tone. Tone is very adventure focused, and we're gonna make it action. We want there to be exciting. This action doesn't mean combat all the time. It doesn't. It could be like I mentioned, skill challenges. Even your social encounters could has some action in it. But the tone we're focused on is adventure and action. Inspiration. Sometimes I like to have three different things in the back of my mind. What are some three books, movies, TV shows, things that I'm pulling from? Let's go with something where you have to get to a point A, point B. Let's go with Lord of the Rings. We can do, let's say Skyrim, just because I'm going to have them running a cart in the beginning, and the action piece. So your inspiration should connect with your tone. And let's say Indiana Jones. Maybe there's something we can do later. Maybe that as we kind of build on encounters, reflecting on our inspiration, we can pull some interesting things. We can copy things from those shows, movies, or games, and add that into our one shot. And then goals to deliver item, or just say the party wants to deliver. The party needs to deliver the item. The party needs to deliver the item, or deliver the package. Um, let's say at any cost. So this makes the MacGuffin really important. Maybe it is a life-saving medicine that's going to save the town, or maybe it's something that's going to protect them from a incoming storm or a monster or something. So there we can make it really interesting that even if party members start to die on the during the adventure, whoever's remaining needs to get there, and that's what would define success for our one shot. But also the party already knows going in that these are people who are dedicated to achieve that goal by any means necessary. So that should be interesting. All right, perfect. So we have our guide, we have our session summary. It's gonna guide us through that full process. Let's get started with Act One. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna build out our skill challenge. Okay, Act One skill challenge. We can call it something else later, but it's gonna be the travel to the next area. So like let's begin with the opening scene. Actually, let's rewind. Let's start with why they're like what the section is about. So summary. Um, the party is in a cart, or in a cart wagon, doesn't matter. Is in a cart traveling in along a narrow mountain road to a town where they get ambushed. Okay, so they get ambushed. This much we know, and we're gonna build out how that happens. Um, and the party will have to defend and navigate the passage in order to survive. Okay. Let's add one more sentence, just kind of give us some clarity. And the driver is taken out by bandits who seek to take their supplies, and the party will need to they would need to drive the wagon um, and not fall off the cliff. And not fall off the cliff. Yeah, right. Um, I think here, like when I paused, I was thinking about like the MacGuffin. Like it shouldn't be like this. The package shouldn't be this small thing. But like, say if we were going with the medicine route, or like whatever the thing is, like these supplies should be extremely important. And I think one of the conditions is like you cannot let the cart, your means of moving those supplies, um, uh, get destroyed. So like the fact that they need to protect the wagon, they need to keep it, I think makes it a little bit more exciting, especially if it's not just kind of surviving or killing off the enemies. It's like, no, I can't let the enemies stop these supplies or stop this package from getting to the town I need to get to. Um, okay, and I think that also includes the horses, right? So you need someone to pull that. The party can be creative if you're playing a system that has like a druid or like some kind of wild shape. Like there's creative ways around that, but let your players kind of figure that out. But I think that's a good summary. Three simple sentences, kind of get it started, um, and let's kind of build out. I think let's build out the opening scene, right? Let's build out. Let's do this. Let's kind of take inspiration from Skyrim. Instead of them waking up, they're already in this conversation. The driver, we can name him later. that's not as important. Um, the driver is going to be giving them the exposition, why they're here, what's it about. So driver is speaking to the party. Let's say he's thanking them for their bravery in taking on this job. He or they or she, whoever you want the driver to be, um, uh, let's say they are um, um, they're making they're kind of asking about their experiences. So he's getting to they're getting to know them. They're getting to kind of what led them to take this job, allows them to kind of have some of that kind of like backstory sharing at the very beginning. Um, ask about their group. We want the group here to really be able to kind of just improv why they're here. You can let them know in the beginning, your players, that if they're already established mercenary group, or if they're just doing this job for the first time because they thought it was a good cause and they wanted to make some money. That's fine. Um, and warn them about some of the dangers. Ask them if they even heard about some of the dangers, some of the risk. The risk, as they have some of that, that dialogue back and forth. Don't let it go on too long. We can describe. So that's kind of kicking that off. Um, uh, maybe you want to comment on the code. You want to comment on the weather. You want to describe how the driver looks, and how he's kind of rubbing his hands together, and he has this very thick blanket around him, and all like, instead of kind of just like narrating all those things, he can make comments, or they can make comments. They can make comments about the cold. And this is all kind of very rough, so you can refine it. And what I'll probably do is refine it much later. But a lot of times, kind of the hardest part is getting started. So I kind of like this throw ideas on the page. The cold weather. Um, Maybe give some intel about the town. There's just some ideas. You don't have to touch every single point. Whatever feels kind of natural. I'm just kind of giving enough, kind of enough thread, for your players. Um, and then that's good. And then what happens? The driver is in mid conversation. Um, so starting the skill challenge. Or what happens while in mid conversation, unknown to the party. The driver is struck with a crossbow bolt or arrow, and then they hear the sound of a horn. Oops. So coming up for the challenge. Now they know, like, the person who was driving the wagon along this very narrow passage is now out. The party's gonna have to think really fast on making sure they don't just ride right off the cliff. And we can describe it as kind of this kind of winding mountain pass. So they're gonna have to act really fast. If I was playing D&D, I would go right into initiative. Um, for Daggerheart, based on some of the things I read, there's no initiative order, so you can kind of just have players kind of make their actions. Um, but yeah, I think you want to start the action right away. Make it urgent. It's going to be time sensitive. The horses are also probably freaking out. So there's all these other elements here. So I think um, the players need to take control of the wagon and protect it from bandits. We can have some of the players taking positions to defend the wagon. Um, we can have someone driving the wagon. So here we're going to have some of the ideas for skill checks. We need someone to drive the wagon and perhaps calm the horses. And horses, we need people to defend it. There needs to be a defender. And we need someone to kind of look out for any hazards, any perhaps you have a navigator or some sort of spellcaster that can help kind of clear things off, on the road, or help mend the wagon, or um, you know, maybe there's a turn, a very sharp turn you need to make, and they're picking up speed, and you have someone with a high strength score, and they can really like kind of help lean on one end of the wagon to help kind of give it enough uh, pull to one side so they can clear that turn. So there's a lot of things you can do, and I guess we'll have one a supporting role. I think what's helpful about this just supporting role, it can fit whatever that third person, that usually the one that's kind of that doesn't have a clear role. You can look at what skills that they have. So they had that train score. Maybe you want to put that uh, you want to put that obstacle in that way that they need their strength to help turn the wagon, or if they have a particular skill set. So look at those things and see how you can have that player kind of fit that. But also, one thing I really like to do is ask players right off the bat, describe what the problem is, and then have them tell me what skill check they want to run. And that's a fun way to do it, because I you can see how creative the players can get with their abilities. They may end up using stuff in their equipment that no one ever uses, but it's always fun to kind of see how they pull that off. So let's say based on the character's abilities, give simple challenges they can use to help the driver clear. Um, Optional, ask them what skill check would like to do after you present them with that challenge. Okay, so that's one. Um, what I would do in this particular instance, yeah. So drive the wagon. Let's talk about some of the bandits. Order threat. What are the threats in the area? We have bandits. We don't have to have a particular number. I think what makes this exciting is that they don't know how many forces that the bandits have. Um, Perhaps there are a growing threat in the region. Perhaps the driver was alluding to them being a problem that's getting out of control. Um, they can be on a higher higher cliffs, kind of shooting down arrows. Maybe you have some others kind of following on horseback. Maybe they have griffins. Maybe they have, I think depending on kind of like where the skill of your parties, of your starting, level one or early levels, you may want to have them on horseback. Maybe they have more advanced things if you're starting off this one shot at a higher level. But we just want to keep this as simple as possible. So let's say bandits are the number of them is unknown, and like their whole again like the whole goal is to protect the wagon, so they're off in the clear. So maybe they're able. The goal is for them to defend it long enough for them to get to find a clearing where they can pick up speed and lose them. So we don't really need the number of bandits. So it's unknown. Some are on horseback, and others are positioned on cliffs above, firing arrows as they pass. Okay. Because we're on a mountain pass, it has some environmental hazards. There is the ledge, the cliff. Falling off the cliff is a bad one. That is immediately leads to the end. Falling off the cliff is a danger. There could be a potential avalanche. Avalanche. They can be overrun, or they can perhaps rocks or debris can damage the wheels. So just have a few to kind of just get started. And yeah, and I mentioned the outcome before, but let's just make sure we kind of we write it down so we don't forget. So so the goal to survive. So maybe we had this like 3 rounds. Let's say 3 rounds, 4 rounds. Don't drag this on too much. To survive the ambush and escape to the clearing. There's the clearing. Yeah, that's simple enough. But of course, while protect the wagon. Okay, so sometimes keeping the wagon intact is helpful if you know your players has a means of still continuing the mission, even if the wagon is destroyed, and they can move the supplies, like I mentioned, like a druid, perhaps like say if the horses die, and a druid can turn into a horse and pull along the way, or they find some creative way to move the supplies themselves. I would continue with the one shot, and while it'll take a little bit longer for them to kind of travel, I will kind of heavily kind of narrate some of those things. So there's still ways of getting around it, but for the most part, they need to get there one piece with supplies. But yeah, so that's the first act. All right, so on to Act Two. What we're gonna do is focus now on our social encounter. Okay, so Act Two, our social encounter. We'll keep the same format before. Summary. So if they accomplish it, they got there in one piece. Um, the party arrives in the mountain town. They are greeted by the town, let's say, mayor, and rewarded. They are given some gold and a feast is thrown in their honor for delivering these life-changing, let's say life-saving, these life-saving supplies. Okay, so we're doing things a little bit out of order, which is could be exciting for your players, expecting kind of the reward at the very end, but it's a one shot, so they're not going to get a chance to really use the reward. So that's why we're putting it in the middle. So we have our skill challenge. They're going to be trying to survive. They already accomplished the mission. Excuse me, and now they're actually made it to the town. The mayor rewards them. They're given some gold. They're heroes. They deliver these life saving supplies, whatever they are, and we can insert a little shopping episode in there, giving them a chance to kind of upgrade their gear. We could put some, you know, some items. So like the party can um, explore the town to buy new gear. Oops. Buy new gear. Um, Learn about um, abandoned threats and just plan. Yeah, and let's say this is overall. It's kind of like role play and town lore. So town and town lore. So my goal is not to make this a two shot, three shot. So in case it does become that for you and your group, which is not a bad thing, but in case it does, you already have some things you can play with. But again, with here, we're to keep this very short. We'll have there could be have 2 or 3 different locations in town. Locations. Let's say there's a smith, or you know what? Say there's a trading post where you can get weapons, armor supplies. Um, let's say there's the town hall where you meet with the mayor for quests, information, lore. And of course, your tavern/inn, where they can long rest, RP role play, and learn more about the town. So I already got that covered. So opening scene. The wagon pulls up to a large wooden wall, or let's say a large spiked wooden wall. Um, already gives us the feeling that these walls they're not Of course, they're kind of like to keep things out, but just them being spiked. It's they really want things out. The town is always in survival mode. Pulls up two large spiked wooden wall, um, where uh, two towers, um, where two towers are above the main gate. And when they pull up, the guards already know just by looking at the wagon and looking at it. They already know those are the supplies they were so desperately waiting for. So they're gonna sound the horn. You're going, and as soon as those gates swing open, the people in town are gonna stop what they're doing, come outside, and greet them and cheer them. Um, so guard sees them and immediately sounds the horn. Um, the gates open and the people gather on the side of the road in town to cheer and greet the arriving party. The mayor then comes out when they uh, when they stop and um, invites, uh, thanks them, inviting them to, let's say, their office to um, get their reward. Uh, Rewards. Okay. Um, Social encounter. It's kind of more broad. I don't really don't have much skill checks here. We can improv this depending on what they're asking for, who they're talking to in town. I think what's helpful here is kind of put two NPCs. You could put more. We'll have the mayor, of course. Of course, you need your uh, the shopkeep at the trading post, tavern keeper, and let's say townsfolk. Townsfolk or guard, whoever they're speaking to. This is just so they get a general sense of the town, can ask questions. Um, there we go. Shopkeeper. Okay, great. So that's done. Um, there's no threats here. Um, the goal is to rest, learn about the town, and replenish supplies. All right, so that's pretty much it for the social encounter. Pretty straightforward. We can always add more to this, but I think here is them kind of actually um, kind of basking um, in their accomplishment, resting, learning more, and then we're going to hit them with the final part of this one shot. Okay, so now we're going to start with our common encounter, the last section. A summary: we know that the party has already, traveled, delivered the supplies, changed everyone's life. Um, They are then rewarded and treated as heroes in town. They get a chance to interact with the people there, to upgrade their gear, and learn more about the looming threat. Now we're going to have the the party kind of see a commotion. So now after the partying is done, the next day the party finds a group, small group of guards outside the town hall. Uh, they appear to be concerned. If your party, you can play this how you want. So if the party notices them and wants to go over, kind of see what's up, they can. If the party doesn't take the bait and you want to kind of bring them to the plot, have one of the guards, hey, I know you, kind of like bring them over and kind of share what's happening. So the party is concerned. Uh, the guards. That's a good point to add. The guards appear to be concerned. The party learns of a uh, of a learn of a dire um, threat to the town. Um, the guards say that they've received reports of large numbers of bandits in the mountains, more than they ever seen. So this is where the bandits have their revenge. They stole supplies that the party was moving earlier on. They failed to retrieve those supplies, and now they're trying to take the supplies by force by any means necessary. Um, the guards um, invite. Well, the guards suggest, because they don't really have rank, they suggest a party um, go to the mayor's office to share their input while the guard captain and the mayor meet. So here's where we're going to get their next quest. They're going to go upstairs. They're going to talk to the guard captain, talk to the mayor, talk about their experience, learn about what's happening. The guard captain is going to share that they've been dealing with this threat for some time. Um, they've seen more and more over time, but these current reports are alarming. Not only because of sheer numbers, but also they know a storm is coming. Um, we know as the players in this one shot that these supplies are extremely important. It could be food, medicine, whatever, like we mentioned. But the important thing here is that the bandits may, want this. They need this supplies in order to survive as well. So the guard captain shares that they're anticipating a storm to happen within within the next couple of hours, and they know that the bandits notoriously like to raid at night on the cover of nightfall. So that only gives them a couple of hours to really get prepared. So this gives the party a lot of different ways to respond. Um, if the party chooses to help defend the town, that's going to be our default. We're going to want the party to do that. But if you know you have the party members that want to go out and seek out the bandit captain or leader to deal with them there, they can, or they try to find out another type of compromise or some other type of solution. So while it's like a combat encounter, it doesn't have to be, but will intend it for it to be a combat encounter, but allow your players the flexibility to find another solution outside of combat if they choose to. So that could be a fun way to kind of see how they find new ways to address this problem. So let's go to try to remember what I just said. The card suggests the party, and then the guard captain shares news that a storm is approaching. The bandits, known for raiding during the cover of night, he believes that they will do whatever it takes to take the town supplies. Okay, so our opening scene. This can change, like I mentioned, based on the different types of decisions your players make before. But for this opening scene queue, by default, your players decide to defend the town. Maybe they go around and help with some of the preparations. But it begins with them on the wall. The party begins their patrols on the wall. And for clarity too, the guards themselves, this town has its own military forces and stuff, and it's not like your players are going to be decimating waves of enemies. Think about your party as more kind of a scalpel, a very surgical instrument, kind of take out, do important things that are key to the battle. Um, but yeah, just think about them as kind of like key players in that battle to help turn the tide. But the way that we're going to design this encounter is that it's not going to be them kind of like fireballing waves and waves, which is also there's a time and place for that. But for this type of encounter in this one shot, they're already seen as leaders, as heroes. We're gonna we're gonna help show them that because their presence there, that they helped prevented the town from being invaded by bandits. So the party begins their patrol on the wall. Hours in, they notice. I say hours in. Maybe they want to talk to the guards. Maybe they want to do some RP. You can limit that depending on how much time you have left. But we want to at least give ourselves at least the last hour really towards like the final act of that combat, because it can take up a lot of time. They notice lights in the distance. The weather sets in, so visibility is low. So the bandits are using the cover of the storm. They're using the cover of night to help kind of mask the forces that they have. Your players are going to notice, and the guards, by either through your players' observations, that in the distance there's going to be a bunch of torchlights, and it's going to just not illuminate the cliffside, but you're going to see a bunch of tiny tiny torchlights kind of sprinkled around, that makes them look like thousands of like fireflies at a distance, stuff that's going to make them feel kind of feel their presence without seeing them. They see a magnitude. There's not that many bandits to have it, but I think the bandits would use tricks like that to kind of make them seem a lot larger and make them feel like their presence a lot more intimidating. And with the cover of the storm, it's just kind of like that, those small lights kind of peering through some of the snow and the wind and um, the fog that's kind of that's setting in. Um, and then we're gonna have the lights go out. The lights go out, and then a horn is sounded in the distance. Let's say horns. Them communicating to each other that the attack is going to begin. Lights disappear. They hear the horns, and as they get closer, they're going to hear their yells, their battle cries as the bandits approach the gates to hear. All right, so I'm thinking about how they're going to get through the gates. We can have several things. I don't think they have any like significant like siege equipment, like catapult and stuff like that. Maybe they have a battering ram. Um, the bandits could try to smash the gate with a battering ram, or maybe they have a giant, or a or you can say giant. I'll keep giant very general, just so that in case you want to like choose a stronger giant or a giant companion. Let's say giant ally or a giant ally. They could scale. Maybe they have hooks. It's gonna be hard. Maybe that's why they have spiky. The town has spiky wooden walls. Um, but doesn't mean they won't try. They can maybe try to scale the wall with grappling hooks. Maybe they have large beasts that can pull down the walls. Maybe the giant can do that. They could use beasts. And these are just putting these kind of listing these suggestions, so you don't have to use all of them. You can pick one. Um, these maybe the beasts have some rope and harness that are attached to them that they can attach to the wall and pull it down. Um, and it gives the parties some areas to focus. And as all this is happening, um, I think we want our party to play a key part in this battle. So as it's going on, give them a few enemies to fight. Um, you want to make sure also too that as they're fighting, um, I would make it difficult terrain. There's a bunch of people coming together, even without the weather. Um, of course, vision is going to be obscured, so those type of checks you roll with disadvantage, whatever system you're using. Um, Movement's going to be limited. They're fighting a very small number of enemies, but around them they're included in the battle. So maybe they're dodging sword swings, they're dodging arrows. They're pushing off people as they're trying to make their way to fight. Their enemy. Um, Here we're going to give them a clear goal. We're going to see that we're going to give them um, a goal to fight or goal to like take out the leader. We want to. They see someone in. They can clearly see the leader. They see that they're decorated. That they stand out um, in this group of people. they could have like a cloak, like maybe like a. I think here we can pull some Skyrim inspiration. Maybe there is like a pelt that they wear, or some kind of crown, or some type of like something about their armor that makes them stick out. Maybe they have some guards around them, and the party's like, you know what? While this battle's going on, we're gonna take out the leader, and make their group lose morale, so we can win the battle. Um, so take out the leader. Take take out the leader, and their let's say and their guard. If you still have a lot more time in your one shot, you can have them fight through, fight through the art, like fight through the forces to get to the leader. Um, but if you're trying to if you have very limited time, I always go straight into straight to that encounter. Here's some NPCs that you may want, or sorry, some enemies, um, and try to make the system agnostic, so to be very general. Um, Scale this appropriately with your party. Again, like if you're starting us at a higher level, you may have higher, stronger enemies. If you have a lower level, you may have typical bandits are fine. So of course you want a bandit captain. You're gonna want maybe depending on your size, you have a group of four. You have like two elite bandits or something like that, and then maybe like three bandits. So those five bandits could be like their guard. Um, um, Conditions, difficult terrain, limited visibility, disadvantage on ranged attacks, and based abilities. Yeah, let's say that. I think those are enough. Just difficult terrain, limited visibility, um, and this you can do theater of the mind. So you don't necessarily need a battle map. Just really kind of honing in those descriptions. Um, and the goal is to take out the guard. Let's actually move this down here. Um, I think for the tactics that the enemies are going to have, um, I think just we're just have like the guard like try to protect the captain as much as possible, or to have them try to be in the way. So like if they have to grapple people, if they have to shove them, if they have to um, you know focus on particular party members, that's all fine. So like um, the tactics. Bandits will protect their leader, because without their leader and without someone helping them kind of like direct what's happening, they're not going to be able to survive. They need those supplies by any means necessary, and they're willing to give their lives so that so that their leader can lead their group to victory, and that their families perhaps could be fed or have medicine, or whatever, or survive the storm. So they're going to do whatever it takes to you know to defend them. Suggestions: grapple, um, uh, block. Yes, like by blocking, they're block the way. Um, uh, Group up. Now, if you're again, could be easy target for wizards, but we're thinking they're in a battle. Could be shoulder to shoulder, could be a couple feet away from each other. A lot of stuff's happening, so it's going to be chaos. I think you can describe that like um, you can do like a fireball or something, but it could potentially hurt allies. I think you can play that by ear, how much you want to scale the difficulty of it and what their character would do. But yeah, that's our third act. So by the time we get to the last section of this one shot, your party has already been heroes twice. They delivered the life saving supplies and they protected the town from the bandit invasion. And by their leadership and their strategic thinking, by taking out the leader of the bandit army lost morale and they fled into the mountainside, leaving a victory for the town and being able to survive another winter. So here we're going to continue with kind of our similar structure. This is going to be the shortest section. We're just put a summary here just so that we kind of know what's going on here and we can give us some flexibility if we want to improv during this time, but it's going to be very short. So going into the summary part, after taking out the leader, um, the tide of the battle is turned to the town. The defending army pushes back to invaders, and the remaining bandit forces flee deeper into the mountains. The party um, celebrate yet again the town being and I think the reward here we can give them a title and receive a title from the mayor for their bravery and leadership. So what happened? So it actually went from being this typical mercenaries to actually being heroes, and I think that's what we want to signify here. Is that like, yeah, they were hired to deliver the supplies. They're already heroic in their own right, but here by having this being a strategic leader on the battlefield, they are now heroes, and the entire town recognizes them as such. Um, and here, this is where you're going to take a step back as a DM or GM, and you're going to have the players kind of narrate what they do. Um, so after a few days, and the storm passes, what does the party members do? And that's it. You kind of just take a step back, let them talk about their characters, and we all know we have players who, even for a one shot, would have a very in-depth backstory, which is great. So if you do end up creating a campaign out of this, you already have a lot to work with. But even if you don't, if it's just a one shot, you have a nice way to kind of wrap it up, and the players still get to kind of use some of the backstory they've written to help kind of improv what happens after, like what happens to their character. So if they want to use that same character in another campaign, they have an experience that they can pull from, and that's part of their story now. So yeah, that's the final part. All right, so we have everything we need. We have our opening, our three acts, and our epilogue, and we can use this for D&D, for Pathfinder, for Daggerheart, and any other fantasy TTRPG. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you found this helpful. especially the longer form version of this, like if you prefer the longer kind of like tutorial step by step and kind of like watching me create it as we go along, if this makes it easier for you to follow, just let me know in the comments. And yeah, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.